Hello students, welcome to the Java class. In this video, we are going to see what is inter-thread communication. That is, in this video, we are going to see how two threads communicate between each other. To explain this concept, I will tell you one small story. Assume this person is me, assume this person is myself. So assume one day my girlfriend called me at evening 6 o'clock. So she called me at evening 6 o'clock and she said that she has posted some letter to me. And I asked her, what is there in that letter? Then she said, anyways, you are going to get the letter. So after reading the letter, you will come to know what is there in the letter, she said. So I thought that she is going to propose me in the letter. So I was very impatient and I was eagerly waiting for her letter. Soon after disconnecting the call, I checked the letter box at my house. So is there any letter for me? So there was no letter. So then after half an hour I checked. So half an hour means at 6:30 p.m. At 6:30 p.m. I checked. Is there any letter for me? So there was no letter. Then I checked at 7 o'clock. And there was no letter for me. Next, after every for half an hour and 45 minutes, I kept on checking the letter box. Is there any letter for me? So there was no letter. Next, at early morning 2 o'clock I checked whether there is any letter. So there was no letter. Next, at early morning 4 o'clock I checked. Is there any letter? So there was no letter. Next morning 8 o'clock I checked. Is there any letter for me? So there was no letter. Next, at afternoon 1:45 p.m. 1:45 p.m. the postman came. The postman came and he kept a letter inside the letter box. So he kept letter inside a letter box. So soon after he kept the letter inside the letter box, I just went and took the letter and I came to my room and I closed the door of the room. Then I checked whether the letter has got any perfume smell or not. So there was no perfume smell. Then I opened the letter. So inside the letter she has written that she was going to her native place. In her native place there is no signals. So there is a problem for cellular signal and you please don't make a call, she has written in that letter. To convey this message, she has written a letter. So I felt very bad and very sad. So what I was doing in the first approach, I was checking whether I got any letter or not for every half an hour. For every half an hour I was checking whether I got any letter or not, whether I got any letter or not. Is this recommended? Is this approach is recommended? This approach is not recommended. So from next time what I did was, I took a sheet of paper. In that sheet of paper, I wrote my name and I wrote my phone number. I wrote my name and phone number and I pasted this sheet of paper on the letter box so that whenever I get a letter, this postman will give me a notification to this phone number. Okay, so whenever I get a letter, this postman is going to give a notification to my phone number. So after seeing the notification, I can go to the letter box and I can collect the letter. So which approach is best? The first approach or the second approach? The second approach is best. Now consider this person as thread T1 and consider this postman as thread T2 and consider this letterbox as letterbox object or a postbox object. So consider this letterbox as a some postbox object. Postbox object. Now assume that this thread T1 follows the first approach. So what is the first approach? Every half an hour, this T1 thread is going to check whether it has got any update from the postbox object. So is this recommended or not? This is not recommended. Why it is not recommended? Because it is unnecessarily utilizing the CPU resources. Say for example, this T1 thread is going to check whether it has got any update from this postbox object for 1000 times. So what will happen? 1000 times the CPU has been used unnecessarily. So this is unnecessarily using the CPU resources. Then which approach is the best approach? The second approach is the best approach. So what is the second approach? So before that, I'm going to remove all these things. So here, which thread is expecting update operation? The T1 thread is expecting some update operation. So T1 thread is expecting some update operation on which object? On postbox object. So T1 thread is expecting some update operation on postbox object. So that is why T1 is responsible to call wait method on postbox object. The thread which is expecting some update operation is responsible to call wait method on the given object. Next, what happens when a thread calls wait method? When a thread calls wait method, the thread will immediately enter into the waiting state. If a thread calls wait method, the thread will immediately enter into the waiting state. So here, which thread is responsible to perform update operation? T2 thread is responsible to perform update operation. So that is the thread which is responsible to perform update operation. After updation, it is supposed to call notify method. So here T2 thread is responsible to perform update operation. So after performing updation, it is responsible to call which method? It is responsible to call notify method on which object? On the given postbox object. In this example, the object name is postbox object. So what happens when it calls notify method? When it calls notify method, it will send a notification to the waiting thread. So after performing updation, it is supposed to call notify method. So what happens when it calls notify method? When it calls notify method, it will send a notification to the waiting thread. Notification to the waiting thread. Next, the waiting thread, after receiving the notification, it can continue its execution with the updated information. Is it clear? So what is happening here? The thread which is expecting some updation, is responsible to call wait method on a given object. So what happens when it calls wait method? When a thread calls wait method, the thread will immediately enter into the waiting state. Next, the thread which is responsible to perform updation, after performing the updation, it is supposed to call which method? It is supposed to call notify method. What happens when it calls notify method? It sends the notification to the waiting thread. Next, the thread which is waiting, after receiving the notification, it can resume back its execution. So this is the complete scenario. So how two threads can communicate with each other? How the two threads can communicate with each other? The two threads can communicate with each other by using wait, notify, and there is one more method, that is notify all. Notify all. So I will explain notify all later. So the two threads, the T1 and T2, the two threads can communicate with each other by using wait, notify and notify all methods. Next, the thread which is expecting some updation is supposed to call wait method on the given object. Next, the thread after calling the wait method, it will enter into the waiting state. Next, the thread which is responsible to perform update operation, after updating, it is supposed to call notify method. What happens when it calls notify method? When it calls notify methods, it will send notification to the waiting thread. Next, the waiting thread, after receiving the notification, it will resume back its execution. The next point is the wait method, wait, notify and notify all. Wait, notify and notify all method is defined inside object class. So what is object class? So object class is a root class of all the classes in Java. So what is the advantages of defining wait, notify, notify all in object class? So what is the advantage of defining wait, notify and notify all methods inside the object class? Because the reason is to make these methods to visible for all the classes in Java. To make this method visible for all the classes in Java, these methods are placed inside object class. You know that object class is a root class of all the classes in Java. The methods which are placed inside root class, is visible for all the classes. So these methods can be called by a thread on any object. These methods can be called by postbox object. These methods can be called by student object. These methods can be called by customer object. So to make these methods visible for all the objects, so that is why we are placing these methods inside object class. So wait, notify all methods is defined inside which class? Is defined inside object class. What is the reason? Because the thread can call these methods on any Java object. For that reason, these methods are placed inside object class. So the next point is, so here what I am doing, here I am going to check whether I got a letter or not in my house post box. So what if I go and check whether I got a letter in my neighbor's house post box, so what will happen? Definitely they are going to give me left and right. So that is, if I go to check whether I got a letter in my neighbor's house post box, definitely I am going to get a runtime exception. So what is the runtime exception I am going to get? I am going to get illegal monitor state exception. Illegal monitor state exception. If I going to check whether I got a letter or not in my neighbor's post box, I am going to get a illegal monitor state exception. That is to call wait, notify and notify all methods. Compulsory the thread should be a owner of this object. So if I'm owner of this post box, then only I can go and collect the letter. If I'm not the owner, I'm going to get a illegal monitor state exception. That is to call wait method, notify method and notify all method. Compulsory the thread should be owner of this object. How the thread can become a owner of an object? How a thread can become an owner of an object? How you can become a owner of your house? If you got a key, then you are a owner of your house. So how a thread can become a owner of an object? If a thread has got a lock, if a thread has got a lock of an object, then thread can become a owner of an object. Next, how a thread will get lock of an object? The thread will get lock of an object only when it is executing inside a synchronized area. Remember that the lock concept is applicable only for synchronized concept. That is, whenever we are using synchronized concept, then only the lock concept will come into the picture. So to call wait, notify and notify all method, compulsory the thread should be the owner of the object. To become the owner of the object, compulsory the thread should, these methods should be called inside synchronized area. Then otherwise we are going to get a runtime exception saying illegal monitor state exception. So that is the wait, notify and notify all method should be called compulsory inside a synchronized area. Otherwise we are going to get illegal monitor state exception. The next point is, consider that this is an object and the object name is obj. Consider this is an object and the object name is obj, and consider this is a thread and the thread name is t1, and also consider that this thread has got 10 locks. So remember that a thread can have any number of locks. It can have locks of any number of object. Okay, this thread t1 has got 10 locks, and also consider that this thread t1 has got a lock of this object as well. Okay, assume that the thread t1 has got 10 locks and it also got a lock of this object, that is obj object. Now consider that the t1 thread is calling wait method on this object. T1 thread is calling wait method on this object. Since it has got a lock, it can call a wait method on this object. So what happens when a thread calls wait method? When a thread calls wait method, what will happen? If a thread calls wait method on a given object, then thread is immediately going to release the lock of that particular object. If a thread calls wait method on a given object, then the thread is immediately going to release the lock of that particular object. The remaining lock, it will be there as it is. Okay, it will going to just release the lock of that particular object, and the thread will going to enter into the waiting state. Okay, waiting state. So if a thread calls wait method on a given object, the thread immediately going to release the lock of that object. Remember this, immediately it is going to release the lock of that object and it will going to enter into the waiting state. So why this thread is going to release the lock? The thread is going to release the lock because some other thread has to use this lock to perform update operation. In this previous case, you can see that who is performing update operation? T2 is performing update operation. How it can perform update operation? After performing update operation, it has to notify, right? To notify also, it should require a lock. For that purpose, T1 is releasing the lock. So why it is releasing the lock? Because some other thread, the thread which has to update, should get the lock to call which method? To call notify method. So that is why it is releasing the lock. So that is, if a thread calls wait method on a given object, then the thread is immediately going to release the lock of that particular object and it will be entering into the waiting state. The next point is, now consider this is T2 thread and this T2 thread has to perform some update operation on this object. To perform update operation on this object, the T2 should require the lock of this object. Assume T2 has got a lock of obj. Okay, lock of obj. Yes. Next, now consider T2 has performed some update operation. So after performing update operation, what T2 should do? T2 should call notify method on this object, right? So T2 should call notify method on this object dot notify, obj dot notify. Yes. So what happens when T2 calls notify? When the T2 calls notify method, the T2 is going to release the lock and it will going to give the notification to the waiting thread. Which is the waiting thread? T1 thread. Now T1 thread will get the lock and it will get the updated information and it will continue its execution. So what is this? If a thread calls notify method after performing the updation, so if a thread calls notify method after performing some update operation, the thread is going to releases the lock and it will going to give the notification to the waiting thread. So the waiting thread, after receiving the notification, it will acquire the lock of this object and it will make use of this updated information and it will continue its execution. So now we will look at the summary of inter-thread communication. So what is the first point? If the two threads can communicate with each other by using wait, notify and notify all methods. So what is the next point? The thread which is expecting some update operation is responsible to call wait method. Next, immediately after calling the wait method, the thread will enter into the waiting state. So what is the next point? The thread which is responsible to perform some update operation, after performing updation, it is responsible to call notify method. So after calling the notify method, the thread will give the notification to the waiting thread. Next, once the waiting thread receives the notification, it can continue its execution by using the updated information. So what is the next point? The wait, notify and notify all methods are defined in which class? These three methods are defined inside a object class. So why they are defined inside the object class? Because the thread can call these methods on any given object. It can call on postbox object, student object, customer object, on any object. These methods can be called by the thread. So that is why these methods are placed inside a object class. So what is the next point? So the next point is, to call wait, notify and notify all methods, thread should be the owner of this object. So how the thread can become a owner of this object? Thread can become a owner of this object by acquiring the lock of that object. How the thread can acquire the lock of an object? By executing inside a synchronized area. That is, the wait, notify and notify all methods should be called inside the synchronized area. If these three methods are called outside the synchronized area, what we will get? We will get a runtime exception saying illegal monitor state exception. So what is the next point? The next point is, a thread can have any number of locks. Next, if a thread calls wait method on a given object, then a thread releases the lock of that particular object and the thread will enter into the waiting state. The lock of the remaining objects will be as it is with the thread. So what is the next point? If a thread calls notify method on the given object, next the thread releases the lock and it gives the notifications to the waiting thread. Next, after receiving the notification, the thread can acquire the lock and it can use the updated information and it can continue its execution. So this is the summary of inter-thread communication. So next we are going to see the complete prototype of wait, notify and notify all methods. Now we are going to see the complete prototype of wait, notify and notify all methods. Prototype of wait, notify and notify all methods. So first we will see wait method. So wait method has three different forms. The first form is wait method without any time period. The first form, it is a public method, it is a final method, return type is void, name of the method is wait. So when we should go for this case, when a thread has to wait until it receives the notification, then we should go for the first form, that is thread without any time period. Maybe it will receive the notification after 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe after 10 years, 100 years, until it receives the notification. If the thread has to wait, then we should go for the first form of wait method. The second form of wait method is the wait method with a time period. So if a thread tells I will wait only for 1 hour, then we should go for a wait method with a time period. So the second form is, it is a public method, next it is a final method, and it is a native method, and the return type is void. The method name is wait, and we are supposed to pass a time period in terms of milliseconds, so long milliseconds. Next, the third form of wait method is, if a thread is going to be very strict with respect to the time. If a thread tells I will wait only for 1 hour 43 minutes 15 seconds, if a thread is very strict with respect to the time, then we should go for third form of wait method. So it is a public method, next it is a final method, it is a void, it is not a native method. Next, the return type is wait, and we are going to pass the time, that is long milliseconds comma int nanoseconds. If a thread is very strict with respect to the time, then we should go for wait method with milliseconds and nanoseconds time period. So next, if a thread is waiting, there might be a chance of some other thread interrupting the waiting thread, right? So the compulsory, all the wait methods should handle interrupted exception. So interrupted exception is a checked exceptions. So compulsory we should handle checked exceptions by using try catch or by using throws keyword. So every wait method will throws interrupted exception. So this will throws interrupted exception. Interrupted exception. So if a waiting thread can be interrupted by some other thread, so compulsory we should handle interrupted exception. Interrupted exception is a checked exceptions, so that is why we have to handle this checked exceptions by using try catch or by using throws keyword. So next we are going to see what is notify method. So notify method, we have only one form, and the form is, it is a public method, next it is a final method, it is a native method, return type is void, and the name of the method itself, notify. Next, we have to see the prototype of notify all. So notify also has only one form, notify and notify all. These two methods has only one form. only wait has three forms. So notify all, it is a public method. Next it is a final method. Next it is a native method. Return type is void, and the method name is notify all without any arguments. So these are the complete prototype of wait, notify and notify all methods. Okay. So what happens when a thread calls wait method? When a thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into the waiting state. If a thread is in the waiting state, there might be a chance of thread getting interrupted. There might be a chance of waiting thread getting interrupted. That is why we have to handle the interrupted exception. So what happens when a thread calls notify method? When a thread calls notify method, thread will never enter into the waiting state. Since thread has never entered into the waiting state, in this case, no need to handle any interrupted exceptions. So now we have to see what is the effect of wait, notify and notify all methods on a thread lifecycle. So this is a top level or base level thread lifecycle. If everything is going to be fine, so this is the thread lifecycle. So what is the first state? If we create a thread object, that is myThread t is equal to new myThread. If we execute this statement, the thread will enter into the new state or born state. Next, if we call t.start method, the thread will enter into the ready state or runnable state. Next, if the thread scheduler allocates the processor, the thread will enter into the running state. If the run method completes its execution, the thread will enter into the dead state. So this is a top level or base level thread life cycle. If everything is going to be fine, this is the life cycle of a thread. Now we have to see what are the effects of wait, notify and notify all methods in this thread life cycle. Now, if a running thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into which state? If a running thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into waiting state. The thread will enter into waiting state. If a running thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into running state. So how it can call wait method? So what is the first form? Obj dot wait, that is without any time period. So what is the second form? Obj dot wait with milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds. So what is the third form? Obj dot wait 1000 milliseconds comma 100 nanoseconds. So these are the ways to call the wait method. So if a thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into the waiting state. Next, when a thread will come out of the waiting state, the thread will come out of waiting state if it gets the notification, or if the time period expires, or if the waiting thread gets interrupted. In those cases, the thread will come out of the waiting state. So after coming out of waiting state, thread will enter into which state? Thread will enter into another waiting state. So it will enter into what? It will enter into another waiting state. Why the thread will enter into another waiting state? Any idea? So what is required for a thread to continue its execution? So what is required for the thread to continue its execution? The first thing is it requires notification. The second thing is it requires the lock of a thread. It requires notification and it requires lock of a thread to continue its execution. That is why the thread will enter into another waiting state to get lock of a thread. To get lock of an object. To get lock of an object. So after coming out of waiting state, thread will enter into another waiting state to get lock of an object. So after coming out of waiting state, thread will enter into another waiting state. When it will come out of waiting state, so what is the first condition? First condition is if it gets a notification. So what is the second one? Second possibility. The second possibility is if time period expires. If time expires. So what is the third case? When a thread will come out of waiting state, that is if a waiting thread gets interrupted. If a waiting thread gets interrupted, then a thread will come out of the waiting state and it will enter into the another waiting state. Why? To acquire a lock of an object. Okay. Next, when it will come out of another waiting state, it will come out of another waiting state if it gets the lock of an object. So after coming out of another waiting state, thread will enter into ready or runnable state. So when it will come out of another waiting state, if a thread gets lock of an object. If a waiting thread gets lock of an object. If a waiting thread gets lock of an object, then it will come out of this waiting state and it will enter into the ready state or runnable state. So this is the complete thread life cycle of wait, notify and notify all methods. So this is the thread life cycle of wait, notify and notify all method. So if we create a thread object, that is my thread t is equal to new my thread, thread will enter into which state? Thread will enter into new state or bound state. Next, if we call t dot start method, thread will enter into the ready state or runnable state. If a thread scheduler allocates the processor, thread will enter into the running state. If the running thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into the waiting state. So when it will come out of waiting state, the waiting thread will come out of waiting state if it gets the notification, or if the time period expires, or if the waiting thread gets interrupted, it will come out of waiting state. After coming out of waiting state, it will enter into which state? It will enter into the another waiting state. Why? To get a lock of an object. Okay. Next, after getting the lock of an object, that is if a waiting thread gets lock of an object, the thread will enter into which state? The thread will enter into the ready state or runnable state. Next, if the thread scheduler allocates the processor, it will enter into running state. Next, after the run method is completed, if the run method is completed its execution, the thread will enter into the dead state. So this is the thread life cycle of wait, notify and notify all methods. Now we are going to see an example for inter-thread communication. First I will create a class. I will name the class as thread A. Within this class, I am going to create a main function. I am going to define main function, that is public static void main string array args. Within this main function, now I am going to create a object of thread B. Thread B. Later I will define what is thread B. Okay. Thread B is equal to new thread B. Next, I am going to start this thread. How to start? B dot start. Next, I am going to create this thread B class. Thread B extends thread. So we are taking two classes, that is thread A and thread B. Next, within this thread B, I will create one instance variable int total is equal to 0. Next, I am going to override the run method. Public void run. Within this run method, I'm going to take a for loop for int I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 100, I plus plus. So this for loop is running for how many times? How much time? This for loop is running for 100 times. So within this for loop I will take total is equal to total plus I. So what I'm doing here, instead of 0 I will take it as 1. For I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 100, I plus plus, total equal to total plus I. So what I'm doing in this for loop, I'm going to add sum of, I'm going to find out the sum of first 100 natural numbers. So what is the formula to find the sum of first 100 natural numbers? Yesterday, right? N into n plus 1 whole divided by 2. This is the formula to find the sum of first n natural numbers. Here the value of n is 100. So substitute this 100 into 101 whole divided by 2. So what is the value? 50 into 101. So what is 50 into 101? It is 5050. So after completing the for loop, the value of total will be 5050. Next, inside the main method, I am trying to print the value of total. System dot out dot println. How to print? B dot total. Yes. After B dot start, there are how many threads? After B dot start, there are two threads, main thread and child thread. Assume child thread has got the chance. Assume this thread B has got the chance and it has completed the for loop. If thread B has got the chance and if it has completed this for loop, what will be the output? What will be the output of this statement? The output of this statement will be 5050 because thread B has got the chance first and it has completed the execution of the for loop. After completing the for loop, the value of total will be 5050. It is going to print 5050. So this is case 1, that is if child thread has got the chance. Now assume that main thread has got the chance first. Since main thread has got the chance first, what will be the output of this statement? The output of this print statement will be 0. Because the initial value of total is 0, the output will be 0. If the main thread has got the chance first, the value of total will be 0. Now assume the case 3, child thread has got the chance. What is the case 3? Child thread has got the chance and child thread has completed the for loop for say some 20 or 30 times. And immediately main thread has got the chance. Okay. What is case 3? Child thread has got the chance and the child thread has completed this for loop for 20 or 30 times. And after immediately the main thread has got the chance. In this case, what will be the output? In this case, we are going to get some intermediate values. So what will be the value of that intermediate value? It will be between 0 and it will be between 5050. So we are going to get some intermediate value. Case 1, if child thread get the chance and if the child thread completes the for loop, the output will be 5050. Case 2, what is case 2? If main thread get the chance first, the output will be 0. What is case 3? If child thread get the chance and if the for loop is not fully completed, if the for loop is completed for some 20 or 30 times, we will get a intermediate value. So we'll see this. I will compile the code now. Java C thread a dot java. Yes, I will run java space thread a. So what is the output we are getting? 0, which means that main thread has got the chance first. Here also 0, main thread has got the chance. So every time main thread is getting the chance, so when the child thread will get, wait, I will try executing this code in a online compiler. The same code I have copied here. Thread B extends thread. Okay, The same code I've copied here. I will try. Zero. Main thread has got a chance. Once again main thread. What is this? Every time main thread is getting the chance. Yes. Now you see, you got intermediate results. You got 2000. This is a intermediate result. Why child thread is not getting so much chance? If a child thread gets the chance, and if a child thread completes the for loop, the output should be 5050. Wait, I will try for another 5 times. 3020. Intermediate results. Child thread has not completed fully. Another 3 chance I will try. Okay. If a child thread gets a chance and if a for loop gets completed fully, the output should be 5050. Okay, it's not running completely. Okay, it was showing intermediate results and it was showing 0, and the child thread is not running completely. Now also I got intermediate results. Okay, let it be. So what is the solution for this? I want a child thread to be completed first. Later, I want a main thread to print the results. So what is the solution? Now I'm going to call sleep method. Thread dot sleep of 10,000 milliseconds, that is 10 seconds. Since I'm calling sleep method, compulsory I should handle interrupted exception. Throws interrupted exception. So which thread is calling sleep method? Main thread is calling sleep method. So main thread is sleeping for 10 seconds. So which thread will get a chance? Child thread will get a chance. Will the child thread is going to complete its execution within this 10 seconds? Yes, it is going to complete this execution within the 10 seconds. So what will be the output? The output will be 5050. Save this. Compile. Java C thread a dot Java space thread A. What will be the output? The output will be the main thread is sleeping for 10 seconds. And the output will be 5050. While the main thread is sleeping, child thread will get the chance, and within the 10 seconds, child thread will complete its execution. So that is why we are getting the final output, that is 5050. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this as 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second. Will we get the output? Will the child thread is going to complete its execution within the 1 second, 1 second of a time? Yes, it is going to complete its execution within 1 second of a time. Now I'm going to make this as 100 milliseconds. Compile this. Will the child thread is going to complete its execution within 100 milliseconds? Yes, it is going to complete within 100 milliseconds. The output is 5050. I will make it as 10 milliseconds. Now think. Will the child thread is going to complete its execution within 10 milliseconds? Yes, it is going to complete. Now I'm going to make it as 1 millisecond. Compile. Will the child thread is going to complete its execution within 1 millisecond? Yes, it is going to complete. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of 1 millisecond, 0 comma 1, that is 0 milliseconds and 1 nanoseconds. Is the child thread is going to complete its execution for within 1 nanoseconds? Yes, it is going to complete. No, it is not completing. Even it is taking more than 1 nanoseconds time. Yes, sometimes main thread is getting the chance, sometimes child thread is getting the chance. So is the thread dot sleep method is recommended? So is the thread dot sleep method is recommended to solve the problem? Is the thread dot sleep method is recommended to solve this problem? No, thread dot sleep method is not recommended to solve this problem. Why? Because there are two reasons. So what is the first reason? In the first case, a thread was sleeping for how much time? It was sleeping for 10 seconds. So what was happening in this time? In this time, our results. So our results was ready within 1 millisecond of time. So our results was ready within 1 milliseconds of time. Unnecessarily, the main thread was sleeping for 10 seconds and it was taking more time to execute and it was reducing the performance of the system. In our first case, it was sleeping for 10 seconds and our results was ready within 1 millisecond of a time, and unnecessarily the thread was sleeping for 10 seconds and it was reducing the performance of a system. So that was the first reason. What is the second reason? The second reason is we don't know at what time the thread will execute the completion. We don't know at what time the thread will complete its execution. So if we give the less time, so here we are giving only 1 nanoseconds of time. So since we are giving the less time, we don't know whether the child thread will complete its execution within that time. So what happens if the child thread doesn't complete its execution within the given time? If the child thread doesn't complete its execution within the given time, we might get a intermediate results. So there are two problems associated with this. If the time period is less, we will get a intermediate results. If the time period is more, we will reduce the performance of the system. The second change which I'm going to do is, instead of sleeping, I will call join method. That is b dot join. So what happens when I call join method? So which thread is calling the join method? Main thread is calling the join method. What happens in this case? When a main thread calls join method, the main thread will go into the waiting state until child thread completes its execution. Save this, compile, java c thread a dot java java space thread a. So in this case we are getting our desired results, that is 5050. So is this approach is recommended? Join method, even the join method is not recommended. So why this is not recommended? So which thread is calling join method? Main thread is calling join method on a child thread object. That is, main thread is entering into the waiting state until child thread completes its execution. So even this method is not recommended. Why it is not recommended? Assume that after this for loop we are having 1 crore lines of code. 1 crore lines of code. So when will be the our results will be ready? Our results will be ready after completing this for loop. But after completing the for loop, we have 1 crore lines of code. So what is happening? Since we are calling join method, until executing this child thread, main thread will be in a waiting state. Unnecessarily, the main thread is waiting even though our results are ready after completing this for loop. So that is the main disadvantage of join method. So which method is recommended? That is wait, notify and notify all. Those approaches are recommended. So how to call a wait method? B dot wait. So b dot wait. Next, after calling wait method, the thread will enter into which state? The thread will enter into the waiting state. Next, here the child thread will start its execution. After completing the execution, after completing this for loop, our results is ready, right? After completing the for loop, our results is ready. So here we should call which method? Here we should call notify method. This dot notify. So what happens if I call notify method? If I call notify method, our waiting thread will get a notification and it will get a updated results. Even before completing this 1 crore lines of code, we are getting the updated results. So which approach is the best approach? Wait, notify and notify all approach is the best approach. So what happens when I run this program? When I run this program, I will get a what? I will get a runtime exception. So why I will get a runtime exception? Because wait notify method should be called within a synchronized area. So what is the runtime exception we are getting? The runtime exceptions we are getting is illegal monitor state exception. So I compile this code, javac thread a dot java. Next, you can observe here, when I compile this code, I will not get any error. When I run this code, I will get a runtime exception. Java space thread a. How many exceptions I will get? 2 exceptions. One for wait method, another for notify method. So 2 exceptions I got. Exception in main thread and exception in thread 0. That is child thread. Which exception? Java.lang. Illegal monitor state exception. So in thread main, illegal monitor state exception. For what reason? On wait method. That is wait. And one more exception for notify method. That is notify. So how to overcome this? To overcome this, we should call wait method and notify method within a synchronized area. To explain that, I will remove all this code. So here I am going to create a class called class thread a. So listen carefully. Next, within this class, I am going to create a main method, public static void main string array args. Next, within this main method, I am going to create an object of child thread. So thread b is equal to new thread b. Okay. Next, after creating a child thread object, I will start the child thread b dot start. Next, so which thread is expecting updation? The main thread is expecting some updation. So main thread is supposed to call wait method. To call wait method, compulsory we should call the wait method inside synchronized block. So I will create a synchronized block. You can call the wait method inside synchronized area. So here I'm creating a synchronized block, synchronized of b. So what is meant by synchronized of b? Which is nothing but this synchronized block is trying to acquire the lock of b object. Okay, this synchronized block is trying to acquire lock of b object. Within this synchronized block, a main thread can call a wait method because main thread is expecting some update activity. So before that, I'm going to print system dot out dot println main thread is calling wait method. Main thread is calling wait method. Since main thread is expecting some update activity, it should call wait method. So b dot wait. So what happens when a main thread calls wait method? When the main thread calls wait method, it will immediately releases the lock. It will immediately releases the lock of this b and it will enter into the waiting state. It will enter into which state? Waiting state. It will immediately releases the lock of the object b and it will enter into the waiting state. Now I'm going to create another thread b extends thread. Yes, here I'm going to create one instance variable int total is equal to 0. Next, I should override run method public void run method. Next, within this run method, I should perform some update activity. So I will take a synchronized block, synchronized of this. So what do you mean by this? This means current executing object. What is a current executing object? B object is a current executing object. Okay. Within the synchronized block, I will take a for loop for int I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 100, I plus plus, total is equal to total plus I. Next, here I am performing update activity. So after performing update activity, we are supposed to call which method? This thread is supposed to call notify method. So system dot out dot println child thread is calling, okay, before instead of calling, child thread is giving notification. Child thread is giving notification. So how it will give notification? By calling notify method. How to call notify method? Current object, that is this dot notify, notify, notify. If the call notify method, the child thread will give notify to the main thread. So here which operation we are performing? Here we are performing update activity. So system dot out dot println child thread is performing calculation. Child thread is performing calculation. Next, it is performing calculation. So after performing the calculation, child thread has to notify. How it will notify? By calling this dot notify. Next, come here. The waiting thread will get notification. After waiting thread is getting notification, so here I will print system dot out dot println main thread got notification. Main thread got notification. So after getting notification, now the main thread can use the updated results. So where is our updated results? Our updated results in total variable. So here I am going to use the updated results. System dot out dot println. So here I am going to use that updated results. B dot total. Okay, save this. So after b dot start, after this b dot start, there are how many threads? There are two threads. Which are those two threads? Main thread and child thread. Assume that main thread has got a chance. So it is not guaranteed that main thread will get a chance. Assume main thread has got a chance. So what will be the sequence of statements? So first, which statement will be printed? Main thread is calling wait method. So assume this statement is printed first because main thread has got a chance. Next, main thread is calling wait method. Since main thread is called wait method, the main thread is entering into which state? It is entering into the waiting state. Next, now the child thread will get a chance because main thread is waiting for some updation activity. That is why it is called wait method. Now the child thread has got a chance. Now within this child thread, system.out.println, child thread is performing calculation. Now this statement will be printed second. Next, here the child thread is performing some updation. Next, system.out.println, child thread is giving notification. So this statement will be printed in a third line. Next, this dot notify. After notification, the child thread will get the child thread is sending the notification. Now the main thread has got a notification. So this statement will be printed in a fourth line. Next, once the main thread has received the notification, the main thread can use the updated results. So system.out.println b.total. So this statement will be the fifth statement. If a main thread will get a chance first. So this will be the complete execution order. Okay, save this, compile, javac thread a dot java. So we are calling which method? We are calling wait method. Since we are calling wait method, we should handle which exception? We should handle interrupted exception. So how we can handle interrupted exception? By using throws keyword we can handle. Throws interrupted exception. Save this, compile, yes, javac thread a, sorry, java space thread a. So what is the output we are getting? Main thread is calling wait method. Next, child thread is performing some updation. Child thread is performing calculation. Next, child thread is giving the notification. Next, main thread got notification and we are using that updated result, that is 5050. I will run once again. Same thing. The main thread is calling wait method. After calling wait method, the main thread will enter into the waiting state. Next, child thread will get a chance. Next, child thread is performing calculation. Child thread is giving notification. Next, main thread got the notification and the output is 5050. So is it clear how to use wait and notify method to perform inter-thread communication? So now we have to see the difference between notify and notify all methods. So that is difference between notify and notify all methods. Notify all methods. So assume that this is an object and the object name is obj. This is an object and the object name is obj, and assume 10 threads are waiting. 10 threads are waiting here. Okay, assume 10 threads are waiting here by calling obj.wait. obj.wait. So this is an object obj and assume 10 threads are waiting here by calling which method? By calling obj.wait method. Okay, now I call obj.notify. Assume one thread calls obj.notify. So what is the meaning of notify? It will send only one notification for a waiting thread. So which thread will receive the notification? Only one thread will receive the notification. Which thread will receive? We can't expect. That depends on a JVM. What about the remaining threads? The remaining threads has to wait for the further notification. That is, we can use notify method to give the notification for only one waiting thread. We can use notify method to give notification for only one waiting thread. If multiple threads are waiting, you can see here, if multiple threads are waiting, here 10 threads are waiting. If multiple threads are waiting, only one thread will be notified and the remaining threads have to wait for the further notification. If multiple threads are waiting, only one thread will be notified and the remaining threads have to wait for further notification. So which thread will be notified? We can't expect. It depends on the JVM. That is, we can use notify method to give notification for only one waiting thread. If multiple threads are waiting, then only one thread will be notified and the remaining thread have to wait for the further notifications. So which thread will get notified? We cannot expect that. It depends on the JVM. So now we have to see what is notify all. So now we have to see what is notify all. So assume that this is a running thread. Assume this is a running thread. If a running thread calls wait method, then the thread will enter into which state? The thread will enter into waiting state. Okay, next, if a waiting thread gets notification, then the waiting thread will enter into the another waiting thread, another waiting state, why? To get a lock. So if a running thread calls wait method, the thread will enter into the waiting state. Next, if a waiting thread gets notification, it will enter into another waiting state to get a lock of a object. Okay, this was our scenario. Next, assume in the waiting state we are having 100 threads. Assume in a waiting state we have 100 waiting threads. Next, out of these 100 waiting threads, 60 waiting threads are waiting because it has called wait method on object 1, obj1 dot wait. 60 threads are in a waiting state because it has called wait method on object 1. Next, assume remaining 40 threads are waiting because it has called wait method on object 2. It has called wait method on obj2. So 40. Now assume I am calling obj1 dot notify all. Why notify all method is used? Notify all method is used to give notification to all the waiting threads on a particular object. Okay, it is used to give notification for all the waiting threads which are waiting on a particular object. On which object I have called a notify all method? I have called notify all method on obj1 object. So because of obj1 object, how many waiting threads are there? Because of this obj1 object, there are 60 threads which are in a waiting state, and all these 60 threads will get a notification immediately. So what happens when all these 60 threads will get a notification? When all these 60 waiting threads will get a notification, all these 60 threads will enter into which state? All these 60 threads will enter into another waiting state. From waiting state, all these 60 threads will enter into another waiting states because it has got a notification. So what will happen in another waiting state? In another waiting state, it will be waiting for to get a lock. Only after getting the lock, the threads will continue its execution. Okay. So what is the conclusion? If we can call notify all method to give the notification for all the waiting threads of a particular object. Okay. What happens when all the waiting threads has got a notification? When all the waiting threads on a particular object has got a notification, it will enter into the another waiting thread. So there the threads will be waiting for the locks for a further execution. Is it clear? The difference between notify and notify all. Notify is used to give the notification for only one waiting thread, but notify all is used to give notification for all the waiting threads on a particular object. So if you have any doubts, so please contact me.